Welcome back to the main event. We're your hosts. I'm Tara.
And I'm Rachel.
And today we're going to be clapping back. I'm sure you've heard of the clip circulating the internet right now about photographers blaming hair and makeup artists on setting up their timelines for failure during the day. So we just want to give you a little bit of our take and some experiences that we've had and shared together while working behind the scenes during the wedding day. And I know you have an example you're ready to share. So
Yes,
take it away.
absolutely. When we did see the video, I felt like it was one-sided, right? So they know their area. They know what they have to do that day. And I just felt like they were a little out of touch of what everybody else has to deal with. So I understand they need a lot of time. I understand they have a long day. They have X amount of pictures and expectations to get. But what they're losing sight of is so do we. So we, as hair and makeup, we're the first ones there, right? We are also working with the timelines by these photographers. Now, first looks are a big deal. Now it's getting to be a first look with the dad and sometimes the mom and the bridesmaids. And so all of that really bumps up their timeline, which I feel like a lot of brides are not really necessarily aware of. And they're not really aware of how much time it takes to do hair. That's what we have to deal with. So that means earlier start times for us to accommodate so they can get all their pictures done. However, when we're the first one to start, you have issues where people are either late or you can't get into the room to set up on time. Those are things that we have to deal with. And we do block out extra time. We give cushion room. We like it to run smoothly. But that doesn't mean it always necessarily happens. There's a lot of things that are out of our control. I had one bride who showed up and she had a very large wedding party, an hour and a half late with her whole bridesmaids, everybody. So me and the other artists are just standing there for an hour and a half, slowly freaking out inside of how are we going to get everybody done on time. That was one example, and that happens a lot. Like
It
where
does. That happened with us.
Yeah, where people aren't awake, or I always tell everybody I don't care who goes first. I just need to have multiple people there, because one of the other things, and every makeup and hairstylist can relate to this, is sometimes you get your person, they have soaking wet hair, even though you stress multiple times for them to have clean dried hair, pictures of what they want, so it moves the process along. Doesn't always happen. So I can't style someone's hair who's soaking wet, and I didn't block in half an hour to do a blowout. So then if I have another girl, I can swap it out. But that might not be the case. I've had some where they're like, oh, she's just 15 minutes. She'll be here. Well, that 15 minutes then turns in by the time they get there. They say their hellos. They put their stuff down to now a half hour. So now we're a half hour running behind. The photographers don't get to see all of this.
No.
And
it's almost like I wish we could record the morning so they see sometimes the fiasco that we deal with. There's one example that I really want to share. And I was working a wedding and I showed up for my 6 a.m. start time, 15 minutes early. So I was at the door, 5:45. Bride's locked out of her bridal suite and there's no attendant downstairs to let her in. And they didn't email her the code to get back in. And it was also Mercury retrograde. So, anytime with your travel or anything, you just give yourself that ample extra time. But we ended up setting up shop in the lobby of the hotel because we had no other choice. We all hustled and worked together as a team, but we ended up finishing late because if we had started on time, we would have finished on time, but we started an extra 45 minutes late because we just simply couldn't get into the bridal suite. And the bride was persistent on getting ready in the bridal suite for that experience. And I understand that and her frustration, but it's like we have to keep the ball moving here because we're on tight timelines and everybody had thick, coarse hair. There were some people that had sopping wet hair. So it's like we're putting out all of these fires before any other vendor shows up.
Exactly.
Any other vendor.
And we're the ones that are, they had their rehearsal dinner the night before. They probably stayed up late. So you're trying.
Drank too much.
Yes, you're trying to get everybody there. I mean, we did, and I believe you were doing this wedding with me where I think it was a 5:30 a.m. start time. And we're standing outside of the salon suite and no one's there. We're reaching out. And the person who was supposed to start first was the mother. And she comes down. She goes, I thought you were kidding. I thought it was like, no, I'm not getting.
Yes.
And she goes, oh.
We looked at each other and was like, you're serious, right? Like, you're telling me you're joking, right?
I thought you were kidding. Meanwhile, we had gotten up at, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock to get there, to be there. And then I remember trying to use her room key, and she goes, well, this one's not working. Well, of course it's not going to work. This is a whole separate salon suite. So, and you're just in your head thinking, oh my God, the time's ticking, ticking, ticking. So that's, something we do. We deal with anxieties of, we've had brides that it starts hitting them that they're actually getting married today.
And the nerves,
the tears. I've had brides that are getting up and going and throwing up multiple times as I'm trying to do their makeup. And then you're fixing all of that over and over again. A wedding I just did, the flowers arrived, and this happens a lot, and it was not her bouquet. So it was a completely different bouquet. And so they, luckily, thank God, they were close enough that they were like, okay, and then we'll be back in an hour with a new bouquet. But again, that causes all this stress. Now you got bridesmaids and the maid of honor trying to take this off her plate. Mm-hmm. I've had some where I'm literally fixing someone's bouquet when I do hair. But hey, you're going to do whatever you need to do. But those are you have people that are, oh, the food's here, or we have to open up gifts,
or who wants a Starbucks run?
Yes.
My favorite.
And so it's I'm just I need a butt in the chair. I don't care whose, but I gotta we gotta keep this moving. So I feel like all of that, well, I guess, maybe their intentions were good and they were just speaking of what they experienced. But I feel like I try to relate to all the vendors. I want to make sure that they're on time, that I'm not holding the photographer back. I know how stressful that could be. I know some of them are working for other people's companies. They don't want to look bad. So I 100% get it. But it's also, hair and makeup is not something that can be rushed either. That's the whole point, is for them to look good on their day, right? And if their hair and makeup doesn't look good, you can do all the editing you want, but their photos aren't going to look good. And there are all these things, and they just are in the mode of, this is the day. I have still all these things they're trying to get together. And I've had some where the bridesmaids are doing their nails and their toes. That should have been done the night before. So I just feel like they should have really tried to put themselves in other people's shoes before they said, we love you. Absolutely. But it's no, you don't. Really try to see what we have to contend with. And now with these outrageous timelines for the photographers, it's even worse.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. I mean, I remember working the one wedding with you one time where we got to it was someone's house. So we set up at the house. And then there was a photographer throwing her things across the room. Yeah. We weren't even done. We had half an hour left until the photographers were coming there.
Yes.
And the photographer was throwing our things across the room to clear it out so that they could take pictures in the dining room or wherever we were.
Yeah, it was a wedding that was going to be at a house, and they literally were throwing our stuff.
And we weren't done yet.
And that was our working time. That was not their working time. I always stress to brides too, once the photographer gets there, you can feel the anxiety. And that's why I don't do the bride last. I want the bride done and ready, because when I was starting out and it was oh, where's your invitation? Where's your flowers? Where's your rings? And then they're getting up and out of the chair repeatedly to get these things together for these photographers. And then they're getting anxious and they're getting nervous. So it's now I don't even do that. I will make sure the bride is done ahead of time, because I don't want to deal with that. And you have a photographer breathing down your neck. You're trying to do your job and you can't, because they're there with a camera shoved in the face, and you're trying to now move around them. So, and they show up early a lot of the times. It's
and that's okay if they want to grab those detail shots of the invitation, but have that, if you're a bride getting married,
have that already
best piece
set
of
up.
advice, have that all in a box ready to go. So all you have to do when the photographer gets there, just ship it on out to them so that they can organize it and create the realistic expectations that you expect from those small detail shots.
Less stress on your plate. Yes. And also too, and I get it, we do hair, they don't know really what it entails, but a lot of the times you've been in another wedding. If you have access to your room or your bridal suite, make sure you can kind of set it up. Where are the outlets going to be? Where are they going to put their tools? Because half the time we spend moving furniture around.
if we have a high chair or not,
Yep.
or for makeup, or we need a low back chair.
Exactly.
Or we're breaking our backs bending over to accommodate our clients because we don't have the right setup.
Exactly. And it's like if we both do hair and makeup. So I work with a lot of makeup artists that, they have their own chair, they have all their stuff. But for us, if we're doing both, it's like my makeup chair is not going to work for my hair chair and vice versa. So those are all things that when you check into the room, the hotels will accommodate, like, oh, I need 2 higher chairs, or can you bring another office chair? Do that too. That'll help save on the time. And when we say have pictures of work that you like, do that. Or I always recommend, hey, don't want to stress you out, but if you can have the girls send me pictures of what they're doing. So I already kind of know ahead of time, like what it is I'm doing. And obviously a bride, we always obviously recommend a trial, but all those little things can help keep the timeline going, and just realizing we can't make up the time. The wedding I just did, we ended up starting later, and luckily the hotel was great. They let me into the bridal suite. I had everything set up. And 2 girls walked in. They're like, oh, well, we don't know if we're supposed to be the ones that need to be done. So we're going to go to her room. And by the time back and forth, and the one that the bride had initially said to start, she was like MIA doing stuff. And then the bride's like, oh, my God. Okay. She's like looking. She's like, okay, I got to get somebody. Just go. Because it's already 15 minutes behind. So
and it all adds up is our whole point of this episode. Like, this time is precious on those wedding mornings, and we are literally glued to the chair. We don't have time to pee. We don't have time to eat. If they say, oh, stop and take a break, no, we can't. Like, we know we can't. We know that after we eat, we'll get tired and slow down, and we know that about us. So we'd rather be workhorses and finish everybody and then crash out after touch-ups and stuff like that. But we cannot. Time is precious, and every minute counts on someone's wedding day.
100%. And I just think it's we try to buffer that. We try to block in enough time, but then we also deal with, I have another wedding coming up, and I said the start time that I know I need to accommodate all these people with my team. And it was, well, we don't want to get up that early, so we're going to do it an hour later. But we talked to the photographer, and the photographer's okay with it. We're going to not do X, Y, and Z shots, right? Well, I did email the photographer. Photographer never gotten back to me, but I'm like, I want to make sure we're on the same page, because I don't want it to look like it's on me. Because once again, they also are setting some of the rules, and you have to kind of plant your feet down, because some brides are like, what you mean we have to start that early? Well, your photographer needs you all ready by 10 o'clock. Yes, your ceremony's at 4, but he wants you ready at 10. So that means your bridal party of 12 people, we have to start earlier. So
you could either skip that first look with your bridesmaids or whatever. You could skip that, and then you'll have extra time, maybe an extra hour. So you could sleep an extra hour.
Yeah, but they don't and again, that's something that the photographers don't realize that we have to do. We have to deal with the heat of that, of being like, well, we got to start at 5 a.m. or we have to start at 3 o'clock in the morning because you have to be ready at 9. So they don't see all of that and what we have to entail. So basically, like, our whole point of the clapback is just something I feel like fellow makeup artists and hairdressers will totally relate and 100% agree. And hopefully, if you are a photographer, you're listening to this, have a little bit more grace, because it's I feel a lot harder in our shoes. Morning. So,
and if there's one thing that I learned from, remember the bride that washed her makeup off, and that the artist got dragged through the mud on social media. All hair and makeup artists rallied around her. Well, this is the same concept. We're rallying around and defending our case, essentially, because we just wanted to clear the air and just tell you that it's not that we're taking our sweet quality time. Well, we can when things are running smoothly, but there are other things that happen in life during the wedding day that happen. I had one story where the grandma fainted, and she locked herself in the bathroom, and she wasn't feeling good. She was in her 80s. And so naturally, it's like heartbreaking to see that. And we're all worried and nervous and concerned, like, because she hit her head on the tub and everything. It was wild. So my whole point was, everything stopped. Everything was put to a halt for at least 45 minutes because we were trying to get the grandma out of the bathroom, and they were in an Airbnb. So they weren't able to take down the door. They didn't own the place. So what were they going to do? So it was actually funny because my duckbill clip was able to pop the lock and get her out, but it took several minutes of trial and error to try and break this door down to save grandma. Luckily, she ended up being okay and she went to the wedding and things were good. But these are things that do happen on people's wedding days
obviously
that
out
are out of our control. Yes, exactly.
And thank God it was a stylist there that had a duck clip. Otherwise, she'd still be in there because
I know, right?
I mean, so these are things that people just don't realize that we do. I mean, and like we had that one too.
We could write a book.
I have to go. Yeah, I have to go bring my dog, and I have to do this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking care of. No, you need to.
We started an hour and a half late.
Yes, the dog running around and I got to do this and I got that. And plus, that's another. Speaking of dogs, I walked in one time to do a bridal party. We're ready to go. This hotel room was packed full of people. They had partied in it the night before. The whole jacuzzi tub was filled with water and balloons, and we literally opened the door holding all of our equipment, and a little dog runs out, and I'm like, this is like chaotic and we have to work in this environment. So it's like sometimes the environment's a little, there was just stuff everywhere, bubbles everywhere. We're like, okay, where could we set up, you know?
And this is why we drive home in silence.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're so overstimulated.
And like, even when I get home, I don't want to talk to anybody. Leave me alone.
I want to crash out. I want to veg out. Like, leave me alone. Let me take a nap.
Exactly. So, you know, we just wanted to kind of like let all of our stylist friends, everything know, like, we get it. We know the real story. And we just wanted to put something out there because not for nothing, I don't want brides watching that and thinking, oh, it's all the hair and makeup people's fault. And like, no, it's really not.
No. So, yeah. And if you are a bride watching this, like take this all with a grain of salt.
Yes.
And be mindful of this when preparing for the wedding morning and when hair and makeup says like you need to be here and at least 4 or 5 girls.
A reason.
It's for a reason. It is.
And that's our whole thing. We just are trying to make your day go as smooth as possible. Get everybody done on time. Like, we don't want to add any stress to your day. We're there to take away the stress. So just know that we are professionals. And if we're telling you something, it's because we've done this a million times and we know what to expect. And if you are another stylist that you do hair and makeup, please share your stories with us.
We would love to hear them.
We would love to hear them. And I'm sure you guys have a ton.
From all of this, like we could write a book.
Oh, yeah.
With everything that has happened in our careers.
Absolutely. And I think it would be a really interesting read.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, guys, thank you. Follow us on everything. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear your stories and also your take on this as well.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.